as he said, my name's Don Childs. I'm an attorney at Sheets and Crossfield in Round Rock. And for the past 20, well, I guess too many I can count, 20-something years, I have been working with Williamson County to acquire properties to build and develop its public works projects and its infrastructure. Now, what jumps to the top of your mind when you think about that are roads, primarily. Adam and his group build, construct, and maintain a very large roadway system, and the county also operates and builds and constructs roads through its bond programs. So outside of Adam, they actually have a larger that covers the entire unincorporated areas of the county. So including, I'm sure, roads that you guys drove on to get here, the building where we're standing, the road out front I've worked on. So I've worked on all, everything from the 183 toll road. We went from start to finish to Ronald Reagan Boulevard. I've been working on it since the first day I stepped foot in here in 2020 and still working on it today. So what that means, and the other thing in that 20 years is you people keep moving here. And you keep using the roads. Who's lived here since 2020? Who's lived here since 2000? Okay, so about half and half. So as we would expect, the county continues to grow. A lot of people who have roots here forever, and a lot of people who have come since then. So what I do, like I said, is we acquire the land to help build these roads. The way this works, we go out, we approach people, we try to voluntarily negotiate a purchase of this, right? It's like anything else. You go out, you try to build it, and try to buy the property. They may not know we're coming. They may not have asked for us to come, but we come to them and we try to buy the property. That doesn't always work. A lot of times we negotiate it, we buy it, we get it, and we build the roads on it. That doesn't always work. When that doesn't happen, there's a process where we have to start a lawsuit and involuntarily convey the property. Does anybody know what that process is called? Correct. I'm glad you said both. You led right into my next point. Eminent domain is the power of the government to acquire properties involuntarily. And what I always want to add, and pay for them. We pay for them. So depending on which side you're on, it's a very different informal name to the process. I walk around and people call me land stealer. I walk around and I say, here comes Santa Claus with a bag of money. We're going to hand it to you. We're going to be fair about it. She said condemnation. Condemnation is the process, the actual process. And that's the process I want to talk to you about. That's the use of the power of eminent domain is through the condemnation process. So without getting too technical, we file a lawsuit that says we need to acquire this property. We can't agree on how much it is worth. We then there's a stage in that process that's an informal administrative stage where 3 citizens are appointed, and we sit in a room like this. Well, as a matter of fact, I have been sitting in a room, this very room, doing that in some of our cases. And the 3 people who are called special commissioners and get appointed by the county court at law judge in any particular case, they listen to us and we say, and one side says, I think it's worth this much, one side says, I think it's worth the other, and these 3 people decide for us. And that's called a special commissioner's award, and they decide. And they fill out a paper and they give us the number. So what I'm here today is to gauge any interest for people who want to do that for us, be involved in that process, serve as special commissioners. So let me ask this, who in here actually resides in Williamson County? Almost everybody. Who here owns property in Williamson County? So once again, all right, all of you who raised your hand both times, you have just qualified legally to become a special commissioner. Those are the statutory requirements to do it. That's what you have to do. You have to reside in the county. You have to own property. You don't have to be a real estate expert. The ones that we have, sometimes that helps. They like it. They're just more interested. But you don't have to be. All you have to be is a person who's willing to listen and be fair and decide how much property is worth. All right? There are some practical components to it. These special commissioners hearings happen during the week. They're always done in one day or less. Some of them are only a couple of hours if it's relatively uncomplicated. Some of them last the better part of a full day. But we need some flexibility in your schedule. You need to be able to show up And if you're not available, then you're not, but we try to work around that. So if you're someone who can say, well, I can only be available maybe one time a month, then maybe that's not for you. But if you have some flexibility in your schedule or time, then this might be right for you. This is the part I left for the end. You get paid. Yay. You get paid to do it. And so I tend to call it jury duty light because, first of all, it's only one day or less. And some of these, even when they're agreed, you may just show up and sign the papers because we've already agreed on something. The fees currently in Williamson County, typically depending on the length of time, you actually fill out a timesheet, we submit it to the judge, and the judge determines the amounts. Right now they're running somewhere between $350 and $500 for your service on any particular case, right? So you may have to sign some documents, you may have to show up one day at the actual hearing, you make a determination, and then you're essentially done with that case. So Williamson County is probably the most consistently involved entity that does that, just because we're always here, we always do it. But there are also cities. Every city has the power of condemnation. They need to do their own. Utilities, big deal for water right now, trying to get water across the county all over the place, and things like that. And then, of course, one of the more up and downs are oil and gas pipelines, right? When oil's booming, everyone wants to rush in and go across Williamson County and get to Houston, right? So you'll see a lot of those. So there's a lot of condemnation cases to do that. I work for Williamson County. I also do some for the city of Round Rock, but the county's my main priority, and they're probably what you would see the most. All right? So that's what I'm looking for. Which is exactly what I was going to ask next. Who has questions? Yes, sir.
What's the risk of the person who's doing this? Is there any legal ramifications or any other risk factors?
In 25 years, I have never heard of any. No, you are essentially at that moment, you are essentially sitting in the place of a county court at law judge. The special commissioners actually have some similar powers. You can actually hold people in contempt. I've actually asked for that to be done on the other lawyers a couple times, but they haven't done it. You can subpoena people. So you're essentially sitting in the power of the county judge. So I think, I'm not going to give a complete legal opinion here, but I think there's some governmental immunity that comes along with it. I have never heard of anybody question it at all in all of my 25 years and, 1,000 commissioners' hearings.
And no one's ever come and knocked on your door and said, I thought you really screwed me there.
No. Well, they say that all the time. But what I do is I like to follow up with the special commissioners a lot and say, tell me what you were thinking. Tell me why you did it. You either, and you don't have to. They're often willing to share.
The rationale is fine. I'm more concerned about the knocking on the door.
No, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that. And people can complain to me, and they do all the time. That's what I get for the job. So, but the special commissioners, I've never heard anybody complain to me that they were having trouble or being harassed or anything like that. They may have said, I don't think these people are fair, and I don't want to have them again. But no, I haven't had anybody who's ever commented on any trouble outside of the process. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How many cases on average do you see?
So obviously it's kind of cyclical. Right now we're busy. The county is busy. We in particular, and I think the county in general. So I think, there's the opportunity, and a part of that goes with expanding our list. Right now our list is pretty small, so the same people have to be on a lot. But we are trying to do this. I'm trying to do this with other people, trying to expand that list. So the short answer to your question, you could be on as many as a couple a month or 3 a month, maybe. In the peak of the oil and gas boom a couple years ago, I had some people telling me, they were telling me, oh, I'm booked on all these oil and gas pipelines. I can't get to yours. Maybe doing 2-3 a week. But I would call the normal maybe a couple a month, maybe 3. And it's, of course, it all revolves around getting the schedules together. So, so it's, and if you're not available for either a limited period of time or not, there are some backups, and that's engaged in the process. So you kind of go to the next one in line. It's not a daily job, but it could be a couple times a month. Yes.
Just if you get more out of this group,
Yes, so
Everybody gets an opportunity.
correct. So the county court at law judge maintains a master list, and it essentially rotates through them. The cases get assigned on a rotating basis through each county court, and we have 5 now. And there's a master list, and as far as I know, they kind of cycle through, yes. They cycle through, yes. So you will be kind of continuously going and into and kind of going. So it basically everybody kind of gets on a panel, sort of about the same equal times. Yes, sir.
Can a city elected official become on the commissioner up there, or is that a conflict of interest?
Well, I don't think they can while they are actually serving. We have definitely seen some retired ones, and I actually work in Hays County too. I know there's some retired constables and things like that. So I can't give a legal opinion on the city, but I haven't ever seen any currently serving officials do it. Some who are retired though, yes, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
2 questions. One, are there any rubrics that guide the decisions of that panel?
Yes, your common sense and your weighing of the evidence. Be
Common sense can be defined differently.
be fair, and
Even fairness can be defined.
that's why we have the informal process. If either side is dissatisfied with that informal process, they have the opportunity to object, and we call that objections, and it goes to what you might think of as a more normal litigation case that has a lot more defined rules, a lot more rules of evidence. This is, a long time ago, way before I started doing this, this process got set out as an administrative stage to try to get these done quickly, relatively cheaply, and easily before we had to go into the full-blown litigation fight that you see on TV, right? So they're administrative stages. I mean, you judge the credibility of the witnesses, similar to a jury. People are going to give evidence. We rely and we revolve a lot around appraisers, right? We hire appraisers. The problem is, no 2 appraisers are ever going to give the same opinion, or else I wouldn't have anything to do all day, every day, right? So we listen to appraisers. And I know it sounds simple, I get asked all the time, how could the appraisers not have the same, how can they not see it the same way? Well, if you serve on this, you'll get a real good close-up view as to how they can. So you judge the credibility. You rely on your sensibilities and your worldly experience to listen and judge the credibility and be fair. That's what we ask. You actually sign an oath saying you will be fair. I swear that I will be fair and administer. And you're trying to determine the market value of the property. What would a willing buyer pay a willing seller? That's what you do. That's what you do. Yes, sir.
So, 2 questions. Are Wilco employees allowed to participate?
I might have to think about that one a little bit. I will say this though.
Say on our cases, no.
Yeah, definitely not on ours. And the other thing is, on our cases for sure, both sides have the opportunity. So you get a panel of 5. Both sides have the opportunity to strike one if they think there may be some bias or something. I would guess if it was Williamson County's case, the other side would strike that every single time. So you wouldn't ever actually get up anyway. And then so it's 5. The other side can strike one, and then they come up after that if that was. Okay. Did I answer your? Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it like jury duty where you can get excused from work from doing it, or is it like a mandatory thing an employer has to let you off?
I don't think so, because it is not mandatory like jury duty. It is voluntary. You do get paid a lot better than jury duty, so that's why I lead with that. $6 a day for jury duty. But no, I don't think there's any kind of federal or state rule or requirement that you would be able to leave. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And the 2-part, the next question. Are, other than residency and property ownership, is there anything that might prevent somebody to participating on the committee?
Sure.
And
Oh.
once they're on, has anybody ever been removed and why?
Yes. Well, let me start with the first part. If we were in court, I would have rejected that as a compound question, but no. Okay, let me start with the first one. Yes, you do swear an oath to be fair. If you have some reason to expect why you cannot be fair because of a bias, and we've had this. We've had a special commissioner who said, once I get this case, I see who the party is. And I think the most common for us is when we have attorneys on our panels, and they say, "Oh, I've represented this entity before. I don't think I could serve here," or that one is in a deal with my brother, or that kind of thing, and they will tell us, and we will, because the statute does have a catch-all that says if you are unwilling or unable to serve, and that's broad, but if you say I can't do this because I can't be fair, well then you can be removed. So, and then the second part is, yes, you can be removed both through what I just said at the start of the process. There's a strike choice for no reason or any reason at all, similar to jury duty. And then if you move up, but we have substituted during the process as well, either through illness, or some people have moved, or they've just said, oh, I learned that I have some involvement in this, either with this entity or this property or these people that I can't be fair about, and so they've done that. After that, it's not perceived very much, because your remedy is to object and throw it into a full litigation case. You can always object for any reason you want if you're dissatisfied. So yes, it does happen, but not common. Okay, I need to pass myself on, but yes.
Well, go ahead, if there's another question.
Yes, ma'am.
My only thing was, I don't think you said how someone applies for it, and I think
Okay, let me in with that. Okay, so 2 ways. I have some flyers here that kind of summarize what I just said. On here is the court coordinator in Judge McMaster's court, who kind of maintains the master list. So you can either reach out to her, her name is Sharon Threadgill, reach out to her by email, or I'm going to leave some of my cards as well. You guys can reach out to me with additional questions, anything you want, and I can help funnel you. Or if you need to learn more or want to hear more about it, reach out to me. I can help introduce and get you over to the court and sort of apply, I guess we'll call it. It's ultimately the judge who admits people, adds them to the list. I'm just out there beating the paths trying to find people who want to do it. All right, so either pick up one of these, or I'm going to leave some of my cards, and either contact them directly or feel free to contact me at any time. So that might be all the time I have. If there are more questions, anybody call me anytime. Never a problem.
You went way over the.
I'm sorry, I knew it. Surprise guy.
5 minutes per slide. Now we're gonna have to
Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everybody.